You are hereby notified that there will be a committee of whole meeting with the Board of Education at 6 p.m. on March 11th at the Bartlett Performing Arts Center. I have a roll call, please.
Audrey Addison.
Here.
Jenna Smith.
Here.
Ramona Dixon.
Here.
Jason Farrell. Here. Lindsay Hines.
Here.
Andrew Ware. Here. Aaron Walter Smith.
Here.
Abigail Greenlee.
Here.
Justin Colorado. Here.
All right, number 2 is the approval of the minutes. Minutes of the committee. Could I have a motion for the minutes of the committee of the whole? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to move public comment and participation to the standard meeting due to 2 spotlights tonight. So student spotlight is up for Butterworth.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Pop. I'm the principal at Butterworth Elementary, and I'm really pleased to present to all of you tonight. Butterworth is a great place, and I'm anxious to share what we've been doing at Butterworth. Presenting, excuse me. There we go. So I thought I'd share with you how Butterworth is keeping pace here in Moline. First, I'd like to talk about the people at Butterworth, who we are. We have pre-K through 5 at Butterworth. We have 4 pre-K classrooms. We have a developmental kindergarten at Butterworth, and we have 10 kindergarten through 5th grade classrooms. We have about 260 students. 70% of which are low-income students and 12% which are multilingual learners. Butterworth's a small school in comparison to many schools in the district, but we have many positive ways that we're sharing with our community. I'm really excited about the developmental kindergarten classroom that's new this year. And we're really trying to find new ways to serve special education students within the general education classroom with that class. We are working at Butterworth on a cohesive staff, right? We have pre-K through 5th grade. So it takes a little bit to bring everyone together. And that's been our goal this year, is team building and collaboration. We're working with another school as well to share some reading and teaching strategies. And it's going pretty well so far. Not only are we working on bringing the adults together, we're working on bringing the kids together. So we have classroom buddies where our big students help our little students. They do a lot of games and different activities together. And our student council students also have been helping in kindergarten during their purposeful playtime, giving up their own recess to do that. So that's a big deal. I'd like to talk a little bit about achievement and ambition instruction. And if you take a look there, you'll see all kinds of ways kids are learning. There's a lot of choice happening in those pictures, a lot of small group, some one-on-one, and large group, of course, whole group instruction as well. We've really focused on engagement and questioning at Butterworth this year. We've been reviewing our Kagan cooperative learning strategies, especially recovering from COVID. We really needed to work together to help our students interact positively with each other and in ways that increase their engagement and their learning. We've been meeting with our instructional coach has been meeting with all of our classroom teachers to help implement some new questioning strategies. And our teachers really ask to learn from each other. They feel like they are, that we have lots of experts in our own building and they enjoy learning from each other. So we've provided a lot of professional development time to share with each other. I'd like to talk a little bit about our fall to winter growth and achievement with our math data. I'm really proud of our math and math data. I know maybe you've heard that our students take the panorama survey and they talk about how they're feeling about school. And in one of the questions it asks the kids, what's the hardest thing right now? And some of them have said, our new math series, it's hard. We're pushing them in ways that are getting results and we're really proud of that. Not only is our growth in the 62nd percentile nationwide, in our building, our students have grown from the 49th to the 55th percentile, and we're really proud of that. We have some work to do in reading, but there's a lot here that is good to celebrate. One of the things that you would notice if you dug into our reading data is that 116 of our 200 kids, kindergarten through 5th grade, are reading at the 41st percentile or above. And that isn't necessarily reflective in our growth. And I think that that's really an important piece to celebrate there. That means that they're reading at grade level or exceeding grade level. And so I think that it makes it difficult sometimes to achieve those growth targets because they are doing so well. So I think that you would see that this is mirroring what we're addressing with our people, and that's the professional development side of reading and questioning. Want to go back, talk about our community a little bit. If you take a look at our pictures, you'll see the different ways that Butterworth supports our community and our community supports Butterworth. We have a group of parent mentors at Butterworth, 5 really wonderful women who have made an immeasurable difference in the classrooms and the lives of the kids at Butterworth. They worked together to write a grant, and they had a playground painting party this fall where they painted all kinds of sensory things on our playground, which has been really enjoyable, especially during the winter when we can only play on the playground. They have partnered with our PTO to put together some new playground equipment at Butterworth. You'd also see our Family Night Carnival, our visiting artists, and our cooperation with Detective Larson from Moline Police Department, bringing in Pepper the therapy dog as well. Some other things that we've been doing at Butterworth is we've been hosting the Big Brothers Big Sisters recruiting events there. That's been great for our kids and the community. And we continue to expand our use of Class Dojo as a communication tool with families. Let's talk about the environment. And I would be remiss if I first didn't talk about the new climate control that has been an absolute game changer. Our kids are finding it easier to learn. Our teachers are finding it easier to teach. It hasn't been without its hiccups, but Mr. Carson's has been really on it whenever something has gone awry, and we've been able to really create a comfortable learning place. Also this year new, if you take a look, you would see new desks. chairs, tables, teacher desk, teacher chairs. Dr. Pribble worked with me and our Title I grant to be able to bring all of that into our building, and it looks cohesive. It looks like an exciting place to learn. It looks like cooperation. It looks comfortable. So that's been a real game changer at Butterworth, and we're excited about that. Inside, in the heart of Butterworth, we've been really working on making Butterworth a safe and supportive place for our kids. We have behavior matrix and training days where we discuss the rules of school and what we do to stay safe and how to treat each other. And we talk about solving big and small problems and feeling safe in all areas of the building. Our counselor has been key in this. We have a full-time counselor at Butterworth, and she has made all the difference in this. For example, you can use your imagination, but sometimes the restroom at kindergarten isn't always the safest place. So she ran a bathroom boot camp with them to really help make sure that everyone is feeling safe at Butterworth. And I'd just like to end with some of my favorite pictures of our kids. We have a lot to celebrate at Butterworth, and we are pushing our kids and our teachers every day to take risks. And learning doesn't happen without perseverance and grit. And it's not always easy and it's not always fun, but we do our best to make it exciting, to help our students feel like they're rising to the challenge. And really serving our community in the best way that we can. And if you have any feedback for me, I am always open to that. And I would be happy to answer any questions you might have about our school.
No questions, but Julie, you know, I've volunteered at Butterworth, and so glad that the climate control has been figured out. I was so impressed with how you all just kind of powered through, whether it was hot or cold or whatever, and led to the school. So I'm so glad that's taken care of. Yeah, you know, you've always been a good partner for our youth sports programs, and a lot of them use the fields outside. So you've just done a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're up and you're ready.
I'm up, but I'm not ready.
That's okay.
This is the biggest audience I've ever had for my special services update. You all came for that, right? I think I gotta go back. Okay. 2023, 2024. I'm gonna give you a little bit of an update on special education, some SEL supports, as well as some of the services that we have been working on this past year and plans for next year for our services to our students and our families. And so these three areas pretty much make up our department here in the district. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a snapshot every year. If I provide this slide, I have to update this slide. And so I could probably count and not get the same number again, not sure why. But we have about 74 special education teachers in our school district. That includes Jefferson all the way up to the 19 and a half that we have at Moline High School. They're outnumbered by paras. And the reason that is some of our programs are pretty labor intensive with regard to student needs. So sometimes we'll have a teacher and that teacher will have 4 or 5 paras if we have a lot of students with high needs and one-on-one. So we're outnumbered by paras with respect to teachers. We have 19 counselors. That number has been pretty stable over the last couple of years, 2 at each middle school, 5 at the high school, and then each elementary has 1. Aspire, our Aspire program here at the high school, has a social worker dedicated to it. She provides both counseling and special education services to students with IEPs if they have those related services. So we kind of have, I guess, about 1.5 here at the high school. We have 12.7 speech pathologists. How do you get 0.7 speech pathologists? We have one that works 2 days a week and another one that works 1.5 days a week. They are part-time speech pathologists. So that works out well in terms of broad area of service delivery. And then sometimes if we need, one goes out on leave, that they're able to help support that speech pathologist. So that's worked out pretty well the past few years. We have 7 social workers, 5 school psychologists this year, and we have 2.8 OTs and PTs. How do you have a 0.8 PT? She works 4 days a week, our physical therapist. And then we have 2 full-time occupational therapists. We have, I would say, 2 special education coordinators in the district. One, Leah Peterson, who works K-12, and then Stephanie Bowers. Casey is pretty much dedicated just to the high school. The high schools is an own little mini school. That department has about 300 special education students. And so there's a lot of work to be done. So she's dedicated just to the high school. We have 2 administrative assistants, one at Allendale and the other down in our office here at Moline High School. And then there's me. So I thought I would provide you with some trend data that we've seen over the past few years, and definitely over the past 2 years post-COVID. We have about 15% of our student body are identified as special education. That trend is up a little bit, but so is the trend in the state. We always hovered around 13 or 14, so it's up and it is staying up. The majority of our kids who are identified as special education spend their time when the majority of their day in a regular education environment, 54% of them. We did not meet state target yet this year for that because they're constantly changing and moving their target. So we met last year's target, but we're not meeting this year's target. And I imagine they're going to up it again. And so we're constantly catching up with that target. But it's still the majority of our kids. Our pre-K programming over the last couple of years has become very much more inclusive. Jefferson and the programs at Butterworth have moved to what we call a blended class. That means every special education, every pre-K teacher is certified in special ed and general ed. And so if they can have 20 kids, about 4 of those in every classroom can be identified as special ed and spend the majority of their day in that kind of setting. And that has helped. It used to be down only 17% spent the majority of their day in gen ed, and now we're up to 43% this past year. And we have about 34 students that are not receiving those services in the district. They're placed out either through a private residential facility, through High Roads, through Phoenix, or through Black Hawk Center. So that's who they are, that's where they are. Okay. If you want to look at how it falls percentage-wise, this always looks pretty much the same. The majority of our kids with IEPs are identified as either speech and language or learning disabled. And so those are the 2 big pieces of the pie. We have a little bit of a large percentage-wise, a little less than 1% of our kids are considered visually impaired, but that's actually a decent chunk, even for a school district. Most schools districts will have 1 or 2. We've got about 12. And so they need attending to too, even though it's just the smallest percentage in the whole pie. Autism has gone up statewide and it has gone up for us as well. It still meets the state target, but that used to be about 6%. And now that's much more prevalent in terms of being diagnosed in the state of Illinois. Here's what I would like to think would be some of our strengths that we have in our district. We have a really broad selection of choices. If you are a student with a disability, we have a very much a full continuum of services for kids, anywhere from consultation all the way up to significantly severe, profound disabilities who are in life skills programs. So we program for the 2 ends and everything in between. including our special education students in Butterworth and the PFA programming there, the preschool programming, as well as our new class that we started this year, is really increasing those littlest learners being out in gen ed. That's been a huge strength to develop that pocket of programming at Butterworth over the past few years. We have our life skills program, like I said, our pre-K to 12. They handle, I would say, the most difficult and intense needs of our students and do it pretty well. Those kids are out in those gen ed settings and serve pretty well. We have 7 ED classes. 2 of them are at 1.5. Next year will be 2 at John Deere. 3 are at Washington, and 2 are at the high school. And also do a very nice job, I would say, turning kids around. They're not just managing kids, they turn them around. And so I would say that's definitely a strength of our district, is those 2 instructional programs. Our teachers collaborate really well, particularly when we have SIP days, particularly when we have some specialty Wednesdays and Wednesday earlier out. They get together a lot and they work on program development and curriculum development. And so that's a strength. Our Special Olympics program is probably a strength of our district. And the feeder program that has been developed as part of that is really an asset. And they have added more and more sports over the past few years. I know you guys heard an update earlier in the fall. That's a strength. We're over 90% compliance with our special ed data. And every year ISB kind of calculates all sorts of things in terms of their child sounds, class size, what our environments look like, if IEPs are written on time, and we're meeting all those deadlines. So last year we fell below the 80% threshold and our teams did a ton of work and we were over 90% this year. Actually, it's the highest it's ever been, ever. So we're super compliant in addition to all of it as well. And then we just are adding our 4th therapy dog at Logan. His name's Otto, by the way. And we have a plan for a 5th one at Moline High School. So that has really grown over since COVID. Really was our first dog, was right in the middle of COVID. And so that's grown over the past few years as well. But there's still a lot to work on. We have a record number of kids enrolling in our district who have full day IEPs, and that means we need more teachers. I would like to think they're moving in from other districts, but other districts tell me the same thing too. So they're coming from somewhere, but everybody's seeing the same trend. I am super hopeful that with all of the efforts we're making with programming here, not just for special ed, but with our MTSS and the literacy plan, that we will be able to reduce the amount of special education services kids need in order to be successful throughout our school day. That's the goal. As a result of what's coming in, our instructional programs are at capacity. They are full at 13, and we're writing deviations to go to 15. Not what we want to do. And you always can't just add a pair and it'll be okay. Sometimes you need to divide them up and create a smaller learning environment. And we're doing that in a couple of cases next year as well in order to hopefully provide better programming. We need to continue working on our functional curriculum for our life skills students. We have been working on, I don't want to say piloting that because we have actually the curriculum, but it takes a good year to put it all together. You have to create a portfolio for every single student in that program. We've been working on all that next year and then this year, and then next year it'll be a go. We need to work on our programming for students with autism and work on our ABA therapeutic curriculum and training for those students. That's called PEAK. We need to work on training, more training for our teachers, more training for our peers in those programs. And our grant idea, our idea grant allocation, it does not cover all of our needs. It covers some of them, but compared to what the needs are, it's the bucket's half full with that. So we are looking at ways to increase some of our revenue, particularly in the area of Medicaid, to help generate some more dollars to cover staff. This is some of the adjustments we've made this past year in terms of our department. The high school ATS program, our alternative to suspension, they were able to start inviting seventh graders this year. We bumped that down a grade, and so that is an alternative to suspension. And it's a very much a shorter day, but a very much SEL therapeutic day. And our data is showing there's not much recidivism if a student has been provided that intervention versus just going home for a day and playing on, their Xbox. We have continued our youth mental health first aid training this year. We just finished up our last of 5 sessions last week. And we are looking at maybe making some changes to that training for next year. We've revised our code of conduct. We always are revising our rubric that goes along with that. And added, as a result of all that, we added the SOAR program, and the SOAR program is designed to address students who are not in class or late to class versus hiding somewhere at Moline High School. So we are working on and looking at that data every quarter to see if we need to make adjustments to that program. Because you're not learning if you're not in class. So it was our #1 referral last year. Like I think I already mentioned, our K-12 life skills curriculum is called Steyer Fitzgerald. A neighboring district is also initiating the use of that as well. We are working on 2 more of our teachers becoming board certified behavior analysts. Last year, I think through negotiations, we found that was highly valued by our staff working with the one that we do have. She does it as part of her regular school psychology position, but there's just not enough of her to go around. And so we have a social worker and we have a general education 4th grade teacher right now who are going through the programming and should be done next year as well. Let's see. We are working on some placement descriptors for all of our special education instructional programs, as well as students placed in gen ed, students placed in resource, and students placed out to help guide teams when they're making those decisions for student placements. And then we have also been working on, as you know, digitizing all of our student records. The last batch is going to be this spring. I want to say it's second to last batch. We're going to be digitizing all of our medical records and health records this spring. Way at the tail end of the spring. Would not be able to do any of that without Greg Green and Craig Reed. They've probably done the bulk of that hard work to get all that digitized. We're looking at the last piece would be our school board records. And so we're going to get through this clump and then look at the next clump. Here's what we're looking at for next year in terms of some changes that we're making. We've added a coordinator of student services to our department to help provide assistance to nurses, counselors, as well as all the student discipline and just all of it. And so it's not going to be special ed. It's going to be student service related, discipline related as well. We are adding a district occupational therapist. Our current therapists have caseloads of about 70 or 75, which is well over the recommended staff caseload, probably twice what it should be. And so we're going to add that position, our occupational therapist position. They do probably the most Medicaid billing in the district. And so we'll be able to get a lot of that back through billing. We're adding another elementary life skills classroom at Hamilton next year in order to avoid classes of 11 or 12, which is way too large for that population. We've revised our bullying procedures and some of that documentation. Some of that was required by the school code as of January 1, as you may be aware of. And so we've had to revise some of our supporting pieces as well. I think we're trying out some templates right now. I don't know that we've decided on the perfect one, but templates for development of safety plans for students when the occasion arises that they need one, okay? We are about to make a massive purchase of reading mastery and corrective reading for students in intervention and students with disabilities. And that is aligned to the comprehensive literacy plan. I know if we, and it comes with professional development. I know if we deliver that instruction the way it's currently being delivered, we will have a massive success. Where we're using it right now is with students in special education with learning disabilities, and we're finding that we are able to dismiss kids from an IEP with that intervention. And so we need to do it more. And it's 100% aligned with all the recommended practices from the comprehensive literacy plan. Let's see, we're going to be doing some staff shifting to try to cover things better. So we are doing some shifting of staff here and staff to benefit John Deere. So they will have 2 full-time ED teachers next year, and we'll be able to divide that clump that they have into 2. We're looking at making some shifting with some students here as well as down in Aspire to try to better cover our 6th through 8th graders. So we want to be able to offer more ATS opportunities for those kids. We want to be able to divide up our safe schools class so they're not in one room all day. And we also want to be able to divide to provide special education support within our ATS program. So we know by shifting some staff around a little bit, and rather than them spending all day in one room, they were divided between 2 classrooms, even the staff, we think we can cover things a little bit better. And so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out for next year. And here's a slide I think I may have shown you before. This is exactly what I think we've been trying to do the last 8 years in my department, is start from where we are and continually. It's been a journey of continuous improvement, one little thing at a time. But you know, there's more work to do. Erin. It's all yours. So, questions? I guess it was good that she was here.
I have one person.
Yeah.
Are our school psychologists and our social workers, are those district employees, or are they from here?
They're school district employees. Illinois State Board of Education certified as social workers and school psychologists. Yep, they are owned.
First of all, thank you again for a comprehensive report, as always, and especially glad you did a good job.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they're all there today.
But also for the developmental kindergarten,
Yes.
like how many students are we serving in that? And then now do we think there's, depending on staffing in that, where we think that's a model we're going to try to scale?
We started that in end of July. And so the program was designed to try to take the pressure on some of our K-1 instructional classes, which is what we're seeing the most growth in. And so we looked for students who were age eligible for kindergarten, but maybe not ready for that regular kindergarten experience, but they had an AP. And so we wound up with 6 students in there. We weren't going to pull students out of an existing placement. And so we wound up with 6 this year, and now we have 5 right now. The goal for that program is that we are able to take students who maybe aren't ready for kindergarten, but need another year of development and hard work. And then hopefully they can, the ideal goal would be they would go on to their homeschool as a resource student. So of the 5 that we have, we will be sending 2 back. And so has been successful that way. The 3 that we have, I think we were kind of ill-informed with who we were getting, other than they were age eligible for kindergarten and not ready. So we have not ready for kindergarten. So we have spent, I would say, most of the school year meeting almost every Monday at Butterworth to develop program criteria, guidelines for placement. And so the intent is that we are able to have more students in that program to take more pressure off our K-1 L5 program. And so next year we intend to have anywhere from 10 to 12. And we also decided we needed to be able to do K-1. So if the jury was still out, that they could spend the 2nd year there. So it's going to be called developmental K-1 next year, with the idea that if they need that extra year, they could spend that extra year there. But hopefully a more cohesive group next year, now that we have program criteria, and that we'll be able to continue to get them out into gen ed. We have kids going out, out into even ELA at Butterworth. And we've needed, it hasn't just been an awesome teacher that we've had, but we've needed the support of the Butterworth teachers in order to be able to do that as well. And they've been great at that, and it fits in nicely with that, with our pre-K group there. So that's been good.
Just a couple things. One is the parents of a child that came into Jefferson this year, motor delayed, speech delayed, can't say enough about it. Incredible. You guys have got a system down that is amazing. Just the day one to present day, how we're watching the thing. The measuring stakes are incredible. So just want to point that out. Two quick questions. One, do you feel like how did the COVID effect of speech delay and the children at that time, do you think that number's going to come back down?
You know, I hope it does. And one of the things that we saw, not just speech, but there's joint attention and fine motor, as well as speech and social skills. Those things, I would say, really were impacted by COVID. I think this year's kindergarten is probably stronger overall than last year's kindergarten. And so I'm hoping that that this large amount will diminish, continue to evolve through. The largest number of special education students we have in the district are second graders. And that was their kindergarten year was that year. And so that is our biggest bubble if you look at the number of students per grade with IEPs, it's that. And so I know that they're trying to not over-identify kids at Jefferson with those needs because all of them are coming in with those needs. And so a lot of what they're doing programmatically is tier one. In terms of all those strategies to work on those 4 areas, to work on the joint attention, the speech, the motor, and the socialization skills, because they all look so similar versus rushing to a diagnosis. And so I think that's been their endeavor this past couple of years, probably.
It's shown.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then the only other question I have is something that my wife and I talked about from other people. As a parent of a child that has delays, it's a unique stressor, it's a unique, you can't quite identify exactly what the issue is, right? So there's a lot of and there's a lot of times we thought, I wish we had other people to talk to, that are going through something similar. I wonder if there's a way moving forward that we can connect some of these parents and some students without, I mean, you have to be careful about sharing, but how to support for parents that are in these, because knowing other parents are going through that and having.
It helps, right? Actually, we're just about to send a flyer home through our nurse's office for that very thing, parent support groups. They do have some evening Jefferson groups, sometimes parent groups, and I think they do a lot more of that probably at Jefferson, because that's your first entry into this whole world. A, just a public school, but B, if you have a child with a disability, what to expect. And so there's probably more of that at Jefferson, to be honest, than there is in K-12, because it's all new and there's a lot to navigate. But I will make sure, I'm gonna double check, back with Rachel Fowler about that, but I think we were just about to send something
That's
else
awesome.
for parent resources and parent support.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Kristen,
Ramona.
why, just kind of piggybacks off of Jason's, that parent support. I know you talked about the revisions to the district code of conduct, and when we look at those, like SOAR programs, and then we talked about another, additional change that would be done around bullying procedures this year. Just how are we communicating with our families so that they are aware of the language? And I know like SOAR, as a parent of a high school kid, when I get that notification, I'm an educator, so I know to look up what that operational definition means and what that looks like for our kids at the high school. But for parents that might not be aware of the language, how are we getting that to them in something that they can understand about what options their kids have other than suspension?
Well, I don't know exactly what was sent home in terms of a high school. I do know from the dean's office, if they have a student that they're recommending for SOAR, that is communicated at the time of the referral. I know we've shifted to, we're trying to scoop kids up as we see they're not in class versus a referral 2 days later or 3 days later. We're trying to do it more in the moment versus later, because we're trying to make it more impactful. But one of the things that happens in SOAR is that, you're in there until you show that you're ready to go back to class and be in class. And so we've been made some changes just last week, to try to make it more impactful. I don't know exactly what that communication looks like once they're scooped up, but we can find out for sure. In terms of the bullying, pieces, the state law requires us to notify, a family or guardian within 24 hours of either being the victim or that you, were identified as, potentially one that did the alleged bullying. So that has a 24-hour notification by school admin to do that within 24 hours. So we're also required to collect and maintain that data as well. And so we're using our own online portal, our own online reporting system to put that in so that we can track that ourselves. Even if a community member or a student or a guardian doesn't report it, we're gonna put it in that reporting system as well.
So on just one more last follow-up, like when we do our pre-registration or re-registration, there are certain documents in there. So just to clarify, it wouldn't be anything that's kind of put in there where parents, if they just kind of sign their stuff.
Yeah,
like
the code of conduct,
Yes, the code of conduct, and we just.
No.
Let's get to the next.
we don't have it embedded in Skyward for that very reason.
Yes.
Because you're just clicking through trying to get done registration. It is, correct me if I'm wrong, I must be, but we have asked that our administrators notify families where it is. It's online, we're not hiding it, it's right online, right on our district webpage, and for each level, so we have one by level. And it's right on the district website, pretty easy to find. And so it is aligned with even the rubrics on there, but the rubric changes all the time, but the rubric's on there as well, so.
I want to piggyback on Ramona. This might seem a little off, but you know, she's talking about SOAR and being an educator. It is a very acronym driven. Yeah, most people have no idea what acronyms mean. Is there anywhere that we could put on the website or a handbook or something that defines that stuff for people? Because it's just letters to most
I think
people.
I think it is in the code of conduct this year. I think we added that at the end of the summer in preparation for this school year. But what I'm hearing is you need it to be more visible.
Yes, I think it should be, you know, easier to find, just
Absolutely.
because you don't know.
Same with ATS.
Education talk, it just looks like a bunch of letters.
Jump in
I just want to take a second to thank Kristen. I'm assuming this is our last update from you.
Well, we're in this. Yeah.
So thank you for your years and diligence. For those of you who don't know, Kristen is the technical side. We won't return. But we have a wonderful person. And run away. With that, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second. All in favor?
Okay, we'll return in 5 minutes. For the regular session. Call to order the regular Board of Education, school district number 40, we following the whole meeting on Monday, March 11th. At the Department of Performing Arts Center, 3600 Ashland City's going to be required. Roll call.
Audrey Adamson.
Here.
Chad Smith.
Here.
Ramona Dixon.
Here.
Jason Farrell. Here. Lindsay Hines.
Here.
Andrew Ware. Here. Aaron Walter Smith.
Here.
Abigail Greenlee.
Here.
Justin Palar. Here.
All right, we'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes, the recommended motion, or approval of the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting February 26, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, is approval of the minutes of the closed session of the Board of Education meeting in February 26, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is communication, public comment, and participation. We have three, and just to lay the rules of the road here for communication, public comment. Everybody will be given 3 minutes to say their piece. Board members will not respond in the public comment. Is it 5 minutes? Sorry. You get 5 minutes, but board members do not respond during public comment. We're here to listen, and that's it. And I know that there is some charged topics, so I'll remind board members that we don't discuss personnel matters or student discipline in open session. Those are held in private, closed session to protect the privacy of the people involved. So with that, the first one is Alata Petner.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you go to the podium too, sorry. That wasn't clear, sorry. Fine.
I got it written down, I appreciate it. Alright, so I'll be talking about school lunches on half days. So basically, a week ago, I submitted a petition on Tuesday about school lunches on half days. I got around 250 signatures for that. That petition was proposing school lunches on half days. So basically, it would have been like on half days of school, you could go to the cafeteria after school, grab a school lunch and leave. It's mainly for kids that rely on school lunches on half day and such to get a second meal in their day. That was the thing that I proposed. I'm here to better get it through, I'm not sure. I was told to come here and I did. So that's pretty much all. Yeah, it took me 1 week to get 250 signatures because I was just doing it between classes and during lunch and such. And I wrote a full paper about it. I'm not gonna read that right now because it's long. It's like 4 paragraphs. I don't wanna do that. If you would like a copy, ask me. Yeah, I can like send you a digital copy or something for you to read and such. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Morgan McCune.
And can I ask everyone that's here for girls' basketball, come up and stand behind me, please? Everybody? Crazy about that. Good evening. My name is Morgan McCune. I'm advocating for the Moline girls basketball program tonight. I personally had and have 2 ladies in this program over the last 12 years. I have been an active team parent in the high school for the past 6 years, as well as 6 years in the feeder program and a member of the MGBA board. I have been around long enough to know that this program deserves a strong candidate. This program needs someone who will lead these ladies and make the best player possible come out of Moline. They need someone who is willing to fight and advocate for them. They need someone who is willing to develop this program, and it starts in the summers. They need someone who is willing to go above what is expected of them. They need someone who is willing to put the girls first. They need someone to bring this program to the next level. As women's basketball is becoming stronger, we deserve someone who can fill, lead, and care for the role that these ladies need and deserve. They need someone who can contact the ladies of all ages. The whole Moline girls basketball program needs to be united. They need someone who will work with the youth just as much as they're working with the high school. The passion of a sport happens at a younger age. Development starts when they are younger. Not all candidates are willing to put forth the time, effort, and help and be present in these programs. The younger girls are just as important as the high school ladies are. We need someone who is going to do a better job at leading these ladies, empowering these ladies, believing in these ladies, and standing up for what is right. As you can see, all that is standing behind me tonight, this is just a small part of what this program stands for. Please make the right choice when picking the strongest candidate to lead the Moline girls basketball program. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Next up is Emerson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Emerson Rasso, and today I am here with Elena Diaz. We are on the varsity softball Moline team, and we just want to say thank you to everyone that helped us help with our fields, get them upgraded for the new season, and our dugouts. We really appreciate it. This Wednesday, we have our first home game against Sherrard at 4:30, and we would like to welcome all of you guys to come. So thank you again, and it was really appreciated.
Break the rules. When is it?
Yes. Wednesday, this Wednesday at 4:30, home. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, that's it for public comment, but before the students leave, I want to thank you all for coming. I know it's not easy to stand up here in front of this board and say your feelings, so thank you guys for coming. I really do appreciate you and respect your opinions on matters that have to do with your school. So thank you. All right, next is the consent agenda. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the actions contained in the consent agenda items A through E2 and F through V as presented. So, roll call.
Ramona Dixon. Jason Farrell. Lindsay Hines.
Aye.
Mary Waldron Smith.
Aye.
Audrey Addison.
Aye.
Chuck Smith.
Aye.
Andrew Ware.
Aye. Right. Consent agenda still, recommended motion that the Board of Education approve the actions contained in consent agenda item E3 as presented. Roll call.
So
Oh, yes, I need one of those for.
Second.
Those, that one too. All right, now what? Discussion. Thanks, Chet.
Jason Farrell.
Aye.
Lindsay Hines.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye.
Audrey Addison.
FC.
Chuck Smith.
Aye.
Ramona Dixon. Andrew Ware.
Aye. All right, recommended, next on the approval of the renewal of the Illinois High School Association membership. Recommended motion that the Board of Education approve the renewal of the Illinois High School Association membership for the 2024-2025 school year at no cost. Okay. Second. All right, discussion. Roll call.
Lindsay Hines.
Aye.
Aaron Waldron Smith.
Aye.
Audrey Addison.
Aye.
Chuck Smith.
Aye.
Ramona Dixon. Jason Farrell. Andrew Ware.
All right, reports, requests, and open discussion, Dr. Fetch.
Okay, a couple of things today. First and foremost, we have some special recognition tonight. Could I please ask, Dr. Luz Hernandez to come on forward and Miss Angie Kernan, please come on up. Let's give them a round of applause. When our State Board of Education recognizes our staff, it's a big deal. There are 852 school districts in the state of Illinois. And anytime one of our own gets recognized for any reason in a positive way, it's something that we want to celebrate. So the State Board of Education has a variety of different educator recognition programs. Of course, everyone's familiar with the Teacher of the Year, but that's just one person. They have other awards as well, and I'm so excited. Dr. Hernandez was recognized for an award of excellence. Educators presented with this award have greatly improved their school community by advocating for positive change and have shared opportunities for improvements with colleagues. These educators have become an integral member of their departments and larger school culture. So I would like to thank and recognize Dr. Luz Hernandez for everything he's done. And also amazing teacher, Miss Angie Kernan at Wilson received an award of meritorious service. Educators presented with this award have connected with their school community and made an incredibly positive impact. So congratulations. You know, our human resource is our most precious resource. They're here on the front line supporting our students, and we're so grateful for everything that you do. So thank you so much. Thank you, members of the board. Couple of other things. I also wanted to give a shout out and say thank you again to our Moline Public Schools Foundation. They are always looking for new and creative ways to support our teachers and support our classrooms. They had a new program after the holidays called Restock Our Schools for second semester. It was really just kind of through Amazon, and folks in the community were able to hop on and just purchase items. They were sent directly to the district warehouse and are all sorted out by school. And members of our community donated over 700 items. So these are just special things that we need in second semester, like dry erase markers and things like that. So we're so grateful for the support that we have in our community. I'm so grateful for everything that the foundation does. These were things that principals and teachers said, yeah, we kind of need mid-year. So we're so grateful for them. Additionally, our 5 Essentials survey, our Illinois 5 Essentials survey, we have just a couple of weeks left, but we have had fantastic response from our parents, our teachers, and our students. And we appreciate the feedback, good, bad, or otherwise, so much. We dig into it, our principals dig into it, we use it in the school improvement process. So thank you to all of those that have filled out that survey. It's a little thing that you can do to help make sure that we hear from you and use your voice and your ideas to make our district better. So thank you. There's still a couple more weeks if you have not had a chance to hop on. So thank you in advance for doing that. Our district has also been recognized by the State Board of Education for the participation rates that we have received from our parents. We've well exceeded the state average already, and the survey is still open for 3 more weeks. So thank you so much for that. We look forward to that information. Moline Math Week is happening this week. With our new curriculum at the K-8 level, we were really anticipating, as I'm sure many teachers and many of you are here tonight, an implementation dip, but our kids are really getting into it. They say it's hard, but they're being pushed, and we're seeing amazing results out of the gates. So we're excited for Math Week. We have a lot of mathematicians and mathletes here in Moline. So we're excited for just the family engagement around Math Week. And thank you to ST Math and John Deere for supporting the program, and our curriculum department for driving the family activities this week. We're just really excited about that. A couple more things. We've got spring break coming up in 2 weeks. Yes, the year is moving along really quickly, whether we like it or not. But just thank you to everybody for hanging in there and giving that final push. I know with the weather being nice and us looking out the window, we're really working hard to stay focused. So we're excited about that well-deserved break for kids and families and staff. And that keeps us moving forward towards fourth quarter, which will be right around the corner. And lastly, one more special recognition that our district received. You know, we've worked really hard post-pandemic to be educationally innovative and to take risks and to really drive achievement and find ways for our district to be on the map in our community, in our state, and in the nation. And so we've received a unique recognition and has been deemed an innovative district. And I'll let Dr. Pribble fill us in on those details.
Yeah, as Dr. Savage mentioned, we've been doing a lot of work with our 5 essentials, working with Julie Pop talked about the ambitious instruction with pushing. And back in November, myself, Steve Etheridge, and Lindsay Oswald were asked to interview with the committee for model schools about this work, and that was prior to our winter map growth and what we were seeing in the 5E work right now that are, you know, we have parent participation rates. We've got schools at 100%. I mean, the high school at over 20%. I mean, it's amazing. And I know one of the middle schools is at 56%. So we're doing great work, but it's really an honor because in June, the 32nd annual National Model Schools Conference, we're going to be one of 8 districts as an innovative district. We're going to go down there. Dr. Savage is going to join us, and we are going to represent Moline and talk about the great things we're doing. Our session is going to be called Prioritizing Culture to Drive Student Achievement. And we're going to focus on that 5E work. We're going to focus on the integration we did with our PACE goals, taking that 5E and making it part of our PACE, and then talking about how we utilize trust and data to drive our culture and student achievement. So it's really exciting to have that honor, to be able to go down there and at a national conference and present. Yeah.
All right, student, okay.
So I was out in the community over in Iowa. I work for a neighboring school district, and I just wanted to let you know that I had somebody ask me about our history lab outdoor classroom and how impressed they were. This was not someone I really know, but they knew I was a school board member, and they wanted to pass on that they were really impressed by the work that you guys have done. And I just thought it was really neat that someone outside of the Moline School District took the time to stop me to let me know. I just want to let you know.
Any updates from the
A little limited STEM update. We had a couple guest speakers from Zimmerman Honda last week. That was a cool experience for the girls to get to listen to and get exposed to other STEM careers. I believe we are presenting next I think so. I'm very excited for that. A little nervous, very excited. Additionally, I went into the woods this previous weekend. It was phenomenal. I was so impressed. It was very good. The pit did extremely well. The live music, I think, is always very, it just adds to the experience of watching. So I was very impressed, very pleased.
I'll just quickly add, first I wanted to say about SOAR, Mr. Moore did communicate about that on intercom and a reminder was sent out. I haven't heard any feedback from anyone about it yet, but I will be sure to relay that if I can get any. Secondly, as I am a senior and the school year begins to wind down, as Dr. Savage said, a lot of the clubs are preparing for next year, and I just want to say you guys are in big hands with the clubs that are at the school. There are a lot of exciting plans, so but it should be good.
And Justin's already recruiting his replacement. He'll be hosting interviews for everybody.
Can I say one thing before we go? So we have so many people here tonight. If you don't know what the Moline Public School Foundation does, they, like Dr. Savage said, support us in so many different ways, but primarily they provide grants directly to teachers for things they want to do in the classroom that will directly impact learning. So they provide tens of thousands of dollars of grants every year. They do a ton of great work. Check them out. And if you do want to support them, they've got their annual celebration coming up at Old Oaks in May. And it's a great way to meet that board. There's always a bunch of educators and parents that want to be involved and want to recruit newly newly engaged people. So anyway, it's a great opportunity to meet people from the district if you haven't already, and a great way to support Mullen Public School Foundation.
Thanks. I also piggyback on Emmy's comment about the Into the Woods. I am not a musical fan, but I took my 10-year-old daughter to the musical and it was fantastic. It was so funny and they did a really nice job. Great job too. So, all right, when
Brian, would you send me some of the activities for math week so I can come?
yeah, if you right.
I think Candace is gonna do a remind.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of, I mean, buildings like, I was in Hamilton today, they're doing like a March Madness and they have classrooms battling on puzzle counts for the day. I mean, there's a lot of, so with ST, part of it is they're tracking all our progress online for us, all the puzzles, and then they have some interactive games and things going on. But yeah, we'll get a thing together and I can share it out.
Thank you.
Up to you.
We also got contacted by Waterloo Schools in Iowa, a former district where I served, because they are watching our data as well, and I'm thinking, how do they have time? But they are watching our data as well to make sure that they stay ahead of us in ST, so there's some sort of weird bi-state.
We're in competition with them, and so ST is actually sharing puzzle counts between the two districts. And we're holding our own.
My 7-year-old is a ST and T is on it all the time. Good. All right, anything else?
I have one quick thing to add. So our next meeting, I know is I think April 8th. So in April 11th is actually our NHS induction ceremony, and I thought that would be too close to actually have to crazy busy. But April 11th is our NHS induction ceremony at around 7 o'clock. Current NHS members will receive a scholarship and new members will be inducted. So it will be a fun ceremony. So if you guys want to.
Anything else? All right, we're gonna move into closed session. All right, to consider the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, and the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and to consider this student disciplinary cases. And motion to go into closed session. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, everybody.